Bam! Welcome to Men's Issues the society likes to ignore and blame on men. What's the biggest one? Violence. Men are blamed for their own gender violence so much more than anything else. Here's the thing, it's no secret that men lead more violent lives. They're the majority of the jail statistics, the gang statistics, and violent crime. But nobody's asking why. Because it goes back to their childhood. And what also goes back to childhood is giving females permission to physically oppress men. Think about it. If one of your earliest memories is being taught to punch that kid who insulted you, it's not a huge leap to grow up thinking that violence is the answer. What also goes back is giving women permission to abuse men, therefore physically oppressing them. It's you're not allowed to hit girls, which gave girls free reign to slap, kick, and abuse. And if he fought back, then he's only confirming the stereotype of an abusive male. So he has to take it like a man. Men's issues that society likes to ignore and blame on men, part 2. Depression. Depression itself is not solely a men's issue. It affects everybody, no matter if you have a penis or a vagina. In fact, a UK study actually showed that more women are likely to suffer from anxiety and depression than men. So you're wondering, then why the fuck is it in this video? Because men suck at handling mental health. Because as a society, we don't make it acceptable for them to talk about it. Women are more likely to seek help, and men are absolute experts at pretending like nothing's wrong. Or when they do, they're told to man up. In Britain, suicide is the #1 killer of young men, and America's not far behind. That means that if you're young and you have a penis, you are more likely to kill yourself than you are to be killed by somebody else or to be killed out in active war zone. I want you to listen to that again. The biggest killer of our troops isn't terrorists, bombs, or gunfire. It's suicide, and it should be a national scandal. It's not treated like that, though. Men's issues the society ignores and blames on men, part 3. Education! My God, education! We all, hopefully, by now know that it doesn't matter if you got a penis or vagina, no gender is smarter than the other. Men are trailing women on a graduating level by a vast amount. 60% of all of Britain's bachelor holders are women. That's fantastic for women, but it actually leads to some shocking societal consequences, really. The youth unemployment rate for black male dropouts is over 50%. Why is this happening? I think this comes down to male expectations again, which is a societal issue, meaning everybody's affected and everybody contributes. According to the LA Times, only about half of all boys expect to be in a well-paying job. That's compared to nearly 3/4% girls. In other words, we are somehow teaching our boys that learning and aspiration and goals is girly shit. Men's issues the society ignores and blames on men, part 4. Wages. Yeah, I'm sure I turned some heads with that statement. Y'all have heard about the pay gap. It's pretty much a nice way of saying that society fucked up by paying one group a different amount based on their genitals. Currently in the Western world, women on average earn 80% of what men do. So it can be tempting to be like, yeah, when you hear it's reversing. Until you really hear what that means. By analyzing the pay of workers in 147 of the US's biggest cities, they discovered that unmarried, childrenless women under the age of 30 are now making 8% more than their equivalent partners. In Atlanta and Memphis, they're making 20% more. New York women not far behind at 17%. The main reason for this is the same reason why women weren't making as much as men. It was the education gap. We need to create an equally educated and paid society to fix this. Men's issues that society ignores and blames on men, part 5. Domestic abuse. Thankfully, decades of hard work, awareness, charities, organizations took away the stigma for women and allowed them to go and get help. The same cannot be said for men. So if we once stigmatized women to the point where they didn't feel like they could get help and that was oppression, why isn't it oppression when we're doing it to men now? The Guardian recently revealed an article that stated that men were 40% of domestic violence victims in the UK and America was close behind. The Telegraph UK released an article that showed that 98% of all sexual crimes against men go unreported. Why? Stigma. So what makes you think? So we can only assume that those numbers are higher, and I have found evidence in articles that have been shoved to the bottom of buttfuck nowhere that suggest men are actually 60%. A study was released that in 2012, men took up the majority of domestic violence cases. But there's no help. Men's issues the society ignores and This one doesn't really blame on men, but really ignores part 6. Prostate motherfucking cancer. I start this video off very lightly because I don't want it to turn into this boring, men's problems versus women's problems. No. Breast cancer research attracts more funding than any other disease, which is a really good thing because breast cancer is a fucking purge. And men can get it too, by the way. And they're often shunned from the support groups. Side note. I would just like to see an equal amount of attention and an equal amount of money being raised for prostate cancer, considering the risks involved are nearly identical. According to the National Cancer Institute, 1 in 8 women will get breast cancer, and 1 in 7 men will get prostate cancer. But unlike breast cancer, nobody's been brave enough to start a media discussion about prostate cancer. I personally want to change that, and I want to attach that to our movement as something that we're trying to change. Normalize prostate cancer awareness, and normalize the hashtag #HimToo. Men's issues the society ignores and blames on men, part 7. Workplace deaths. Men account for 93% of all workplace deaths in America. Am I the only one shocked by that? No, we're not talking about this? That's such a disproportionate number. It shouldn't even be a thing. Especially considering women work 43% of all work hours in a year. And this isn't just a cherry picked out of an article either. This goes back to articles back in 1995. Now obviously this is due to men choosing to work the most dangerous jobs in the world. And fucking bless them for it, honestly. Fishermen, loggers, semi-truck drivers, airline pilots, underwater welders, pipeline drillers. But the fact of it is that being male makes you more likely to die in the workplace. So I want to hear from you guys. What do you think society could do to change this? Society. When a teacher's whole class fails a test, the teacher's to blame. Issues that society ignores and blames on men, part 8. Homelessness. 70% of North America's homelessness is men. Other places it gets even worse. Amsterdam, 88% men. Even in places with a smaller gender gap like Australia, they are over 50% of the generalized population of homelessness. But guess what? Once you get out on the streets, it gets even worse. Homeless men die on average 5 years earlier than a homeless woman. How is this even possible? Oh, right. Because instead of helping people, we stigmatize them and we blame them. Because when a woman's homeless, it's because she's had trauma in her life, things haven't gone right, she's been in bad relationships. Environmental reasons, she's human. When a guy's homeless, it's because he's lazy, he's not a man, he's garbage. Therefore, naturally, society is not going to put the same amount of resources for him. So why are we blaming men rather than helping? Men's issues that society ignores and blames on men, part 9. My favorite one to talk about. Parental issues. Family courts. Just over a century ago, women had absolutely no say. Men could do whatever they wanted to their wives, and that was their right. Men used to have the entire say on whether women could see their kids or not. Thank God that changed, because that's not right. Both people should have a say. Unfortunately, in an attempt to balance it out, it went the other way. Newsweek released a study that showed that women win 5 out of 6 custody battles. And over 1 million children in America a year live without a father. Now, what I believe the reason for this to be is, again, societal's embeddance of what masculinity is. So you've got this older generation of judges who still believe that a woman should be at home taking care of the kids and the man should be working. Sexism oppresses both genders. We need to chase out any bias in the court systems. Last but not least, men's issues that society ignores and blames men for the most. Part 10. Their own oppression. People fail to understand me when I use the term societal issue. That means that everybody contributed. Everybody contributes. So if you're gonna sit there and say that men oppress themselves, then you've gotta be able to reiterate to me how women also oppress themselves. Because here's the fact. Yeah, men contribute to their oppression. Women used to contribute to their oppression the exact same way by not doing anything about it. Now we've got generations of women who are standing up and saying, we're not doing it this way anymore. Now we have society's men saying, hey, we don't want to live like this anymore either. But this is a societal issue. As I just explained, fathers, don't teach your boys to lash out. Our culture teaches men to hide emotions, even if it kills them. We teach them to aim low, just like we did women. The answer is support, not blame.